A lot of people tell me they come to the coastal, they just can't daven here. They're starting korbanos, someone sticks out their hand. They're starting Pesukei Zimra, someone sticks out their hand. They're starting Birkas Kriyashma, someone sticks out their hand. Every 5 minutes, someone's asking for tzedakah. They just can't concentrate on their tefillas. I'm not going to deal with that question because I don't want to say something that's going to get me into trouble. But I did notice in this week's Parsha some very, very fascinating insights from Rashi. Right? The Torah tells us, "Efes kilo yichal be'evyon, ki baruch yivarech Hashem, ba'aretz asher Hashem alkecha nozen l'cha nach l'rishta." Right? The Torah tells us that there won't be any poverty in Eretz Yisrael. Yet, as Rashi points out, right? The pasuk later on, pasuk Yud Aleph, Tezvav pasuk Yud Aleph says, "Ki lo yechel evyon," right? There'll always be poor people. So on one hand, that the Torah promises us that there won't be any poor people, and then a few psukim later, the Torah says there'll always be poor people. How do we reconcile this? So Rashi says here in Tezvav Dalid, "Bizman she'osin ritzonim shel makom avyonin v'acherim lo v'chem." Don't be any Jewish poverty, right? But if you're not doing the right thing, then you will have poverty. So you see an incredible thing here from Rashi, right? That people think poverty is based on economics, it's based on how hard you work, it's based on this, it's based on that. There is truth, of course, to that. Hashem runs the world with Teva. But God's showing us there's a deeper message over here. Right? There has to be aniyim. If we're not doing Ratzon Hashem, which is most periods in history, we're not considered to be Oser and Tzon Shalmakam. So there's for sure going to be poverty, right? There's for sure going to be poverty. Poverty will not be eliminated from the world until Klal Yisrael is doing Ratzon Hashem. And what's behind that? What's Tutzov Dorn? What's going on here, right? So I believe the answer is followed. I always say over from Reb Revda, the Arba Avos Nezikin, right? The Arba Avos Nezikin. There's Shalom Bayis. There's Chinuch Banim, right? Domestic tranquility, your children, your health, and poverty. Right? Poverty is one of the four nisonos that every single Jewish family must deal with. One of these four nisonos, and poverty is one of them. Right? And all of these nisonos have one purpose. Hashem, who made to be Hashem doesn't want to do bad to us. Hashem is tachlis chesed. Hashem is infinite chesed, infinite wisdom. The only reason Hashem will bring us nisonos in Parnasa, in our livelihood, our sustenance, is because He wants us to grow in Emunah. If we build Emunah ourselves, then we don't need the poverty, and that's why I believe that's the pshat. Why the Yerushalmi says if you say Parsha Saman every day, then your parnas is taken care of, because you're building yourself. You're building your own Emunah, right? Hashem builds your Emunah through nisyonos in money, or you could build your own Emunah by saying Parsha Saman, which we said is 32 Gematria Lev. Yisodis of Emunah, principal foundations of Emunah, so you could build yourself, you grow yourself. Right? So one way is Parsha Saman. I met someone on Shabbos. I said, "How's it going with Parnasa?" He said, "Pretty difficult." I said, "Do you say Parsha Saman?" He said, "No." I said, "Why not?" He said, "I don't know." I said, I once spoke to Rav David Koyen, Moshe Sternbach, and Ravad Yosef, and I asked them, right? You have their Ashkenazim, Sephardim, Sternbach is taken to Hasidish, yeah. Basically, all camps included there, right? Is it meant to be taken literally when the Yerushalmi says that your parnasa is going to be guaranteed? And they all said yes. So I asked them, so why don't people do it? They said, I don't know. I guess they don't want their parnasa guaranteed. Or maybe they just don't believe it. It has to be you really believe it. It will only work, of course, if you believe it. So one way is Parsha Saman, learning those things. But definitely another way is tzedakah, right? Every time you give tzedakah, every time you have to reach in your pocket and give, and reach into your pocket and give, and reach in your pocket to give, you're breaking a certain, number one, you're breaking a certain selfishness within yourself. That's number one. But number two, you have Amunah, because Chazal tell us if you give, you'll get it back. And a person who does gives, he sees that, he gets it back. So you're building your Amunah. Tzedakah is a way to build your Amunah, right? Chazal are teaching us that you can either build your Amunah by giving tzedakah, right? You can build your Amunah by giving tzedakah. But if you build your Amunah to a point where you don't need that, then you won't need the tzedakah anymore, right? You won't need the tzedakah anymore. But what happens if you don't give the tzedakah? Right? What happens if you, option number three, The ultimate level is Oser Ritzon Shamakam. We're at the level of Muna, so we don't need poor people even. The second level is we have poor people and you give tzedakah. What about if you don't give tzedakah? So it's a very powerful Rashi, right? On Pasuk Zayin, Pasuk Zayin. Rashi says, why does it say Achicha Avion? Yeah, Ki Achicha Avion, Achicha Avion. Im lo titela sofalios achiv shel Avion. You're also going to be poor, right? So Rashi is telling you, right? Option number 2 is we're not doing the Ratzon Hashem, and you should give tzedakah. And if you don't give, you're also going to be an ani, right? So you have those 3 choices. Either Klal Yisrael builds their emunah to the point they're Oser Ritzon Shamakam, they don't need even a poverty. Number 2 is you give tzedakah. And number 3 is you don't give tzedakah and you become poor. And when you become poor, then you realize how important it is to give. Then you really realize that, oh my gosh, you realize. Yeah. So I want to share with you, conclude here, a story that happened to me on Friday as follows. And there's a really major limud here in this topic we're speaking about today. I usually give Friday morning, I usually daven in Hanof at a certain minyan, and I give them 50 shekels for the kupat year, for the kupa of Hanof, Tomchei Shabbos. And I wasn't there that Friday because I davened in Hebron, and I didn't give the 50 shekels tzedakah. In any event, afterwards I had to take my wife to the doctor, and then I had to go to meet my chavrusa. I was in a rush. I took an Arab taxi, and as I was getting out, right, he let me off in a very strange place. It was in the middle of an intersection. I had to jump out of the car. My cell phone fell out of my pocket. So it took me about 2 minutes to realize this. When I realized it, I think first thing I said was 10 times, Kol ma'adav Rachman al-Tov Avid. There must be something good in this. I'm sure there's something good. Then I thought about what I should do. I said, you know what? I'll call the phone. Maybe he'll pick up. I call the phone, and the Arab picks up. And I said, listen, I want to meet you. Where are you? He told me it wasn't too far away. So let's make a place to meet. You can turn on the meter, and I'll get the phone. Okay. So we all know the Gemara in Kedushin, about 10 kavim of Gezel that came to the world. We don't need to go into that. But this taxi driver decided that he was going to make some parnasa from me. He turned on the meter, and he went all around. Yeah, he wouldn't give me an exact location. He said, "I'll meet you here. I'll meet you there." The Kitzur Meiser was about 20 minutes to half an hour until I finally met up with him. Right, and I had to call a number of times. I didn't have a phone, so finally I went to the street corner. It was on Shmuel Navi and Bar Ilan, and there was an ani there collecting. And I asked him to use his phone, so I used the phone to try to catch him. And afterwards, I gave the ani 5 shekels. Right after that, about 3 minutes later, I met the guy, and I saw the meter was 50 shekels. 50 shekels, yeah? And I said, this is a lot of money. Maybe, you'll give me a discount. He gave me 5 shekels back. So Shtel for, I spoke to my Rosh Yeshiva Friday night, Rosh Kushlevsky, and I told him the story. I asked him 2 questions. First of all, I said, should I report this guy to the company? I had his number and the company. He said, no, don't. It's no point because it's not going to get you anywhere. Right? But number 2, I asked him, I gave him the only 5 shekels, and I got back 5 shekels. And I usually gave 50 shekels to tzedakah, and now I lost 50 shekels. Is there any connection? He said, there's definitely a connection. He said, if you would have given that ani on the corner 50 shekels, you wouldn't have had to pay for the ride at all. It's the same idea here, right? When you give tzedakah, you're building your emunah, right? If you don't give tzedakah, then you're not building emunah. Okay, so you're not in Hanof that Friday, so find a place, yeah, wherever. Look for an ani and give it. If you do something every week to build your emunah, you shouldn't stop just because you're davening in Maras Machpelah. In any event, the point is like this. The point is that we have to build our emunah every single day. There's no such thing as a day going by where you don't build your emunah. A day that goes by without building emunah, you're going to fall. Yeah? You can either build your emunah or fall in emunah. And this is why Chazal say, Kol Parshman Kol Yoim Muchsik Lo Shlo Messiah Mizanasa. If you will, your promise will be guaranteed. You have to say it every day, even Shabbos, right? You don't say the Tefillah on Shabbos, but you have to say Parshaman even on Shabbos, and then you'll grow in your emunah, and then you will hopefully not need the nisyonos like I had on Friday. It was quite exasperating. But in the end, when I realized that this was all liman emunah, so I understood that this was also good, and it taught me, and Bezrat Hashem, as soon as possible, I'm going to give the other 45 shekels to Staka, and Hashem should have Rahmanas on all of us, and we should all be Zoiche to go in Emunah through Parsha Man, Staka, and eventually Osin Ritzon Shamakam Amen came to Ritzon.